Are you considering divorce? Are you dealing with it now? Are you on the other side and not sure what comes next? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show with your host, Lisa C. Decker.
Welcome, everyone, to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show. We're so happy to have you today. My name is Marcella Craig. I am executive assistant and producer of this show, and I'd like to introduce you to our beautiful host, Lisa Decker, who's coming on camera now. Lisa is a certified divorce financial analyst. She is also a real estate collaboration specialist in divorce. And Lisa is the CEO and founder of both Divorce Money Matters and the organization that brings us this wonderful show, Divorce Town USA. So welcome, Lisa, to the show. What can we expect today?
Thank you so much, Marcella, my right-hand lady, my left foot lady. I love her, and we love working together to bring you this important information that needs to get out into the world, folks, because divorce is going through a paradigm shift. People are sick of the old ways that it's been done. They want to do it differently from the start, and they want to do it differently after. And so I'm really excited about today's guest, Karen Millon. She is a certified professional coach, the author of the book, An Amazing Divorce, What You Can Do for Yourself, for each other, and for the children to achieve it. Oh, I love that title. And she is the host of the Heal-In podcast, the place where you learn and get inspired to heal, to achieve. Achieve an amazing divorce and life after divorce. She's on a mission to inspire with her podcast and social media and personally support ambitious individuals as a coach to achieve and thrive personally, romantically, and professionally, especially after divorce. So Karen, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Lisa. It's an honor to be here today.
We're so happy to have you on the show and want to hear more about your experiences. So I know that you obviously have an ex because of what we're talking about today. Can you give us a little background on how long you were married, how many children you have, and how did you come to vacation together after your divorce?
Thank you. Yes, I was married for 17 years, and we had two children who were 8 years old and 6 years old when we separated initially. When it happened, Lisa, we both felt that we wanted to do the best we could for the kids. That if we came to this spot where we had to break up and give them that heartbreak, we wanted to work as hard as we could to make the best divorce possible. And so we both arrived at the decision of starting to heal. So I signed up for 2 sessions a week of therapy with a therapy called EMDR, where I just dig deep and went into what is my part. What did I allow? What happened here? And he did the same. So we were able to have our first vacation together it was like the 1st of July after 3 months of the initial separation.
Nice. And EMDR is such a great therapeutic tool. And it's wonderful that you both decided to go for that and to seek understanding so that you could move forward as better co-parents after. I love that. So how have your children taken to all of this?
Amazing. And it's, when I was thinking of the title of the book, it was like, okay, that's an oxymoron to a divorce. But the results of the divorce were really amazing. I mean, we kept taking the kids to school together. He would come in the house anytime he wanted and take them out for an ice cream. We kept having dinners together. So it was really easy for the kids, and the kids were happy and thriving from day one to today. It's been 9 years since our initial separation, and the kids are thriving, doing well academically, socially. And so it's really worth the work. It's a lot of work. It didn't happen overnight. He wasn't an angel and I wasn't an angel. It's not like, I post a lot on this and people are like, you're so blessed, you're so lucky. And yes, I can't say that you do need two to tango, but it took a lot of work and a lot of investments of time, energy, and money on therapy, on coaches, on really digging deep and trying to get along.
This wasn't planned, but I noticed for Father's Day that your ex and your current husband were together. I saw that on your Instagram post. So how did you get there?
Good question. It's been like that for about 8 years. When I started, what makes my divorce even more interesting is that I did leave my husband for my current husband. I wasn't disloyal. I met him out of the blue. I was really unhappily married for about 7 years, and we were both unhappy. We were sleeping in separate bedrooms. We were just staying together for the kids. And out of the blue, without looking, I met my current husband, and I was trying to set him up with a divorced friend of mine. So I was asking him all kinds of questions. I'm like, what do you do Saturday morning? What do you do with your disposable income and free time? And every time he was answering a question for my friend Becky, it was like music to my ears. I had never met another man like that. So I came home the next day and I told my ex now, I'm like, you're not going to believe it. I met this guy, never planned, nothing happened, but we're done. And I know there's someone out there that's a better fit for me, that's going to make me happy. And obviously it sounds a lot easier now than it was, but he knew, and he was in New York and I was in Canada. So it was sort of easy to allow me to focus on the divorce and on healing and on my kids. But my ex knew that when I was ready to date, I was going to date this guy because he was just unbelievable. So when we started dating, and I would tell my current husband, he's like, yeah, I'm going out for dinner with my ex, or I'm going to his house, they're cooking for me, or we're going to go to a beach house. We had a beach house. And I'm like, I'm going to spend the weekend with my ex. Obviously, my current boyfriend at the time was like, wait, what? What are you doing? And I had done enough work to be very confident and say, listen, this is really, really important to me. I know that fathers matter. I want my kids to be able to see me together with my ex. I'm with you because I want to be with you. I've been through hell and back to do this. And it's important to me that you accept this. And so my current husband, after a few weeks was fine with it and understood that had, something that he had to come to terms with. And it's been great ever since. And with my ex, when he finally met him, probably 8 months after, he knew. And he would see us act. We'd spend time together. And he's like, oh my God, you guys are the same person. You guys want to sit in the same spot. You want to eat the same thing. You behave the same way. And like he saw it very soon after. And they actually became friends. My ex was single at the time. And my husband used to go out with him and help him pick up, and they would go out for coffees together. And now they're real friends. Like it's one of the reasons I wrote the book was when I moved to New York, everyone who met me and all the new friends we were making, they would come over and my ex was here hanging out. And I would introduce him as my ex. It's like, wait, where's your husband? It's like, oh, he'll come late tonight. And they would see how genuine and how real our friendship is, that they're like, this is crazy. You got to write a book. I've never seen anything like this. I've seen people after 4 years be able to sit on the same bench and root for your kids. And I've seen sort of the progress, but this is pretty amazing. So it is. So I wrote the book, and then I've been on a mission for the past, 4 years, coaching, becoming certified, and inspiring people to heal, so that they can get to this place, because it doesn't have to be bitter and horrible. And divorce doesn't ruin the kids. It's the conflict and the anger before, during, and after that really traumatizes children. So.
Wow, well, that's such an inspiring story, and it is possible. I've met folks over the years who do this, and people are quite surprised. We see Hollywood families doing this, and we think, oh, only them. But no, this can happen, and it's ironic that we're having this show today. I just came back from a trip from Maine, and the taxi driver who took me on this hour-long ride to the airport didn't know the work that I did, but he started telling me all about how he and his ex-wife are good friends, and she's friends with his wife. And he recently had a heart attack, was in the hospital, and his wife was with the children, and his ex-wife came and took care of him. And it's very interesting. And there's no rules about this. We all get to play the game the way we want, and we can craft the kind of relationships that we want with those who are from our past and our present and our future. And I applaud you for putting your children first and presenting it to your husband in such a way that he was able to see the benefits of it, and then standing your ground with your current husband to say, no, this is best for my children, and this is what's going to have to be if we're going to be together. Because I think a lot of women might be afraid of that. So this is wonderful. I'm so glad you're here today, Karen. So a lot of people have high conflict relationships. Listening to you talk and tell your story, it sounds like you were able to get along somewhat well beforehand. But what about people who've gone through really high contentious divorces? What do you have to say to them in the aftermath about all of this?
Yes. So one of the benefits that you get when you work with a certified professional, whether it's a coach or a therapist, is that you get to look deep into your anger, right? So the only reason people find it extremely difficult to think about spending time together, or let alone enjoying a vacation, is that we're angry, right? And it's that anger. And when you allow to invest time and energy into looking into the anger, underneath that anger is always sadness, is rejection, and most of the time is anger towards ourselves, right? Because despite of your situation, despite of the fact that they may be a narcissist, they may be spenders, they may be sexaholics, they may be this very unsurmountable, issue. And I mention it because I help a lot of women in high conflict divorces. Is the question of why did we allow that, right? Is the question of ownership and responsibility. And exactly, like, why did we allow this, right? Why did we support? How was this familiar to us, right? A lot of the times, for example, in my case, my ex-husband never heard me, right? I would say, I don't need this, I need this. And he would just go through one ear and out the other. And he still doesn't hear me very well. But it was that understanding that I allowed that I married someone that didn't hear me. And when I did the work and I realized that my dad never heard me either, or my mom, that I spent a whole childhood without being heard. And then I went and spent another 17 years without being heard. It was so powerful to be like, I'm done not being heard, right? And I can still go on a vacation and I say, well, I don't want to sit in the sun. And he still chooses that table on the sun. But, it's that understanding that it's like, that's fine. I'm no longer with you, right? I have the confidence now to stand on my own feet and say, listen, you can sit there if you want. We're going to sit in the shade, right? And with a lot of love and respect, and it's not a fight. It's like, this is what I need. And still he doesn't hear me because it still happened. He's like, that's fine. How lucky I don't have to live with you on a daily basis. But we're here in Punta Cana. Let's just have fun, right? So a lot of this high conflict divorce is taking the time to understand each and every thought, each and every belief, each and every problem that you're having. Because when you take the time to look deep and understand and it's not toxic positivity, there's like, just focus on the positive. because that works for an hour or two. It's really spending the time to look at that thought. So that thought could be they're a narcissist or they're selfish, right? How true is that? Why are they selfish? Big reason. Why are they not selfish? What thought would you rather have? Because it's only when you think of something that affects your emotions and your actions. So if, of course, if you're thinking something negative, they're selfish, you're going to feel angry. Therefore, you're not going to want to spend time with them. You're going to start a cycle of fighting. But if you decide to think something more neutral or something better, it really affects your emotions, and your emotions affect your actions. So the biggest advice to be able to get to this spot is doing the work and really challenging each and every thought that you have and each and every belief, so that you can find a way to get around it and increase awareness of those differences, so that when you're planning your vacation, you're understanding, okay, what can we do that we're both going to enjoy and that has as much flexibility, so that you don't fight in front of the kids and you enjoy yourself and you have a good time.
It does take a lot of introspection and probably a lot of also letting some things go that, you know, in the past you might have made a snide remark or gotten upset about. It's just letting that go, because, you know, when you get back from vacation, you're not going home with that person, right? So
Exactly.
when you're on vacation, what, you know, and you're already there and you're having a good time, or you're not, what kind of helpful tips do you have to make things run a little smoother?
Yes. Asking yourself, the minute you said you have to let some things go, is asking yourself almost on a daily basis or an hourly basis, if you're struggling, what do you want most versus what do you want now? Right? So whether you're negotiating your divorce and it's like, what do I want most? And you're fighting over $500 a month, right? Versus what do you want now? Or you're on vacation. It's like, I want to enjoy myself. I don't want the kids to feel the tension. This is what I want most. And that really allows for you to let things go. So one of the biggest advice is to be really aware, right? Is aware of your thoughts, aware of your beliefs, and aware of your differences. So for example, my ex and I, he's very type A, extremely organized. He needs to get to the airport 3 hours in advance, and he needs to, you know, be extremely like everything is planned. And that's where my Colombian background comes in. I'm a little more disorganized. So we clearly identify that, and he gets in an Uber and gets there earlier, and gets there 3 hours in advance, right? You know, when we choose a destination, I know he likes to bask in the sun for 8 hours straight, and I love the shade. So we are always planning for this. You know, if we get a place, make sure that I can sit on the shade, he's in the sun. One of the best vacations we choose is like an all-inclusive resort, so that he wakes up at 5 a.m. in the morning and likes to be active and do a million things. I like to sleep in. So, you know, it's, we have scenarios where we can both enjoy ourselves and not be upset at each other, and have time away as well.
So a lot of pre-planning, it sounds like, is important in all of this, to include everyone's likes and dislikes as much as possible, give flexibility, give variety. I like the all-inclusive resort idea, because then everybody's got a little bit of something to choose from. And I think that that's wonderful that you are going to those measures to see that everyone has that ability to have a good time.
Right.
And I know that every family is different, obviously, but how do you guys as a family unit work out like what the kids do each day? Do they kind of just go with, like, if dad's doing something I like, I'm going to go with dad today, and if mom's doing something I like, I'm going to go with mom today? Is there ever a competition, or how do you guys kind of work that out with the kids? Because I know you're all together, and now even with your current husband.
Yes, it was a bit more challenging when we lived in separate households, and that was very much like, you know, daddy's doing this. Now that they're teenagers, for example, the best vacation is the all inclusive, because we even have me and my husband are semi-vegan and we're very healthy eaters, and my ex loves his meat and ribs, and so you go to a buffet, people can eat separately. But now that the kids are teenagers, very much so, like almost every day, especially weekends, my ex would say, I'm going to the movies, who wants to come? I'm going to this pub for dinner. And a lot of the times my teenagers will go with him. We have an 8-year-old. So, but he's very fluid. We don't, from the very start, when they were little, we did have days that were his nights and then my nights, but we were always flexible. If the kids wanted to stay with me or wanted to stay with him, unless there was a very planned event, we were always very flexible. And since we moved to New York 5 years ago, the kids have been with me the full time, but he comes and goes. There's no announcements. He has keys. And so we're very flexible. And we don't believe in forcing the kids, right? They go, and he's a great dad, and he's invested a lot of time in having that super fun relationship with them. So they usually like to go with him a lot as well.
Wow.
And
Well,
your daughter now, your 8-year-old, she gets along with your ex as well?
He's her godfather. And he adores her. And since she was a little girl, we were 3 when she moved to New York, and he would actually pick her up every Saturday morning, take her to a music and meat show they had in the neighborhood, had breakfast with her, so that me and my husband could spend the morning and sleep in and spend quality time. So we have, it's a pretty amazing. And when you do the work and the results are amazing. Like every time I post something, my friends are like, you are so lucky. And I had a post once on my Instagram wall about a year ago. There's this mother of 4, husbands like never around. It's like, what did I do wrong in the world? Karen has 2 fathers waiting for their 1 7-year-old. And I'm here alone with 4 kids and no help, and my husband's nowhere to be found. So, the benefits of doing the work and getting along with your ex is like, you're happy, you get along, there's peace. You've got 3 sets of parents taking care of kids, right? Driving them around, taking them places, paying for stuff, supporting each other. I'm going away with my teenagers to the Bahamas because the one graduated from high school and is going to college, and I'm doing a girls trip with friends who had kids at the same age. And so my husband and ex-husband are tag teaming taking care of the little girl, because my husband works long hours. He's picking her up after daycare, after summer camp. And yeah, it's pretty hysterical. People still stop me and it's like, I can't believe this. This is just crazy.
Well, we have to, the example of the father or the mother with 4 children and the father not being involved. This takes 2 to do the work. I mean, she could do all the work in the world, but if her husband doesn't want to, ex-husband doesn't want to engage, or has taken off, you can't fault her for that, because not every ex-spouse is going to do the right thing. So this is the magic that works when you have people who can be adults, put aside their differences for the benefit of their children, for what is best for their children, and find that it can work magically when people act in the right way, when people do the work to get to rid of the anger, rid of the resentment, rid of the baggage that's being carried around. When you get to the core of what started it all, the love, right? And you have children that came from that love and put them first, it can be magical. So I don't want those who are listening to feel like, oh, I've done this all wrong, if their spouse is not engaged. But, I want to bring hope on that also, because I have interviewed folks who didn't speak for years. And then, suddenly something brought them back together and they had changed and they were able to rebuild a different kind of relationship and never thought it would happen. So there is hope. But
it's never too late. It's never too late.
Yes.
Even when your children are adults, I've seen it, and I've seen it with clients as well, where it's like, no, we've hated each other for 10 years. It's never too late, because children do want to see you together. Mm-hmm. One of the things that really helped me inspired was that vision I was 28 years old when my parents separated for a year, and I was devastated. And I had been married for a while. I had a baby. And when I saw them come visit me together and come visit my baby together and have dinner together, it meant the world to me. It was like if they hadn't separated. And rationally, I understood that they weren't living in the same house and they were staying in my house and sleeping in separate bedrooms. But it's magical. I have to tell you, I have so many friends and sadly family who separated after I did. And when they see us having dinner together and have my kids with their two fathers, they all tell me, you guys are so lucky. Whether they're 6 years old or 15 or 18 or 22, I have been told in front of kids whose parents have separated, you guys are so lucky, to my daughters. And so it's worth working towards, because the benefits to yourself, to me, and to our children are invaluable. And you're happy for it. We have choices. We have a choice to stay in anger and fighting, or we have the choice to look towards peace. And if you have a hard time thinking about it, some of the questions I ask my clients is like, at what cost, right? What's the cost of this? And we actually write it all out, right? And part of that cost is not only the legal fees, fighting and arguing, and the mediator and the para who helps you communicate, but it's this: you're not moving on with your life. You're not finding love again. You're not moving on with your career, with your professional ambition, because anger and hatred and hostility and fighting keeps us stuck. Takes a lot of energies from us. That energy that could be spent working on your new career, going back to school, starting that new business you always wanted to do, going on dates, self-care. So it's there's a big cost to that fighting. So it's not just about the kids, it's about moving on and doing what's right for us.
Absolutely. What a gift to your children, and what a gift to those that you set an example for. And, I always say to clients when they come to me, I work with mostly couples as a financial neutral. And in our first meeting, I talk about, putting the kids first, and everything else we work around that. When you start with that as your central spot, then we can make everything else work. Otherwise, children sometimes get used as pawns. And I ask them right then and there, do you want to be the reason that your children don't feel comfortable at their own graduation, wedding, holidays, grandchildren being born? Or do you want to share the love that you both still have as you're in a different way as a family unit? And, it makes people stop and think. And you're doing that here, Karen, with the work that you're doing in the world. And we so appreciate having you on the show today. Why don't you tell folks how they can get in touch with you? And then Marcella, I'm going to turn the show over to you for wrap up.
Thank you. Last piece of advice is radical acceptance. When we divorce, we try to keep wanting to change our ex and giving them an epiphany. Don't do this, don't do that. Just accept, and focus on the positive, that we're no longer with them. Yes, I can be found at Healing with Karen on Instagram or Facebook, or Karen Millon on LinkedIn, or on my website at www.healin, without the G, healin.net. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Marcella. Thank you very much for what you do. I'm very grateful as well.
It's been a great show. Thank you so much. So Marcella, why don't you tell us more about what's coming up next week and what resources folks can find to help them heal and move forward?
I wanted to let everyone know too that you can actually get Karen's book at divorcetownusa.com on our marketplace. That's one of our featured products, because it is pretty spectacular to have an amazing divorce. It doesn't always happen, and we want to help more people do it. So speaking of Divorcetown USA, we do really highly encourage you to download the Divorcetown Roadmap if you have not done so already. This will give you different avenues, different perspectives, and different ways of looking at Divorcetown, so you can start off on the right road for you guys. and not end up in that expensive, nasty, litigated, sanity-sucking divorce in court. So we want to avoid that bottom right-hand corner. So you can download the ebook and guide at divorcetownusa.com. Also, Lisa has put together a free divorce financial fitness kit. This is for anyone, even if all you have is one bank account, you will want to download the divorce financial fitness kit, get your documents together, and meet with a financial expert before you do anything else. So that can be downloaded at divorcemoneymatters.com. Last resource we want to make available to everyone is our support group, which is available through meetup.com. It is entitled The Divorce Help and Hope Support Group. It is also sponsored by Divorcetown USA. And our next meeting is actually tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. It is free, it is open to anyone who wants to join, and it is virtual. And finally, next week, worst case scenario, one parent just refuses to let the other parent have access to children. We are going to hopefully put an end to that everywhere in the world, one family at a time. And to help us will be Dr. Amy Baker. This is her specialty. She is a researcher and an author, and she does a lot of good work in this area, and she will join us next week to help us go from parental alienation to reunification. So as always, we want to thank all of you for joining us this week. It is a pleasure and a privilege to have you as our guests. And we hope that all of you will stay happy and healthy and safe, and we will see everyone next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.